My name's Rob Armour. I'm the MD from KINGLY, and I'm very happy to be with Savia Rocks from Us People podcast.
Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of the Us People podcast. I'm your host, Savia Rocks, and today I'm humbled to have Rob here with me. Rob is the MD of KINGLY, which I really do want to get to know about his company and how it all works, because me and Rob have been going at each other in the sense of emailing back and forth and trying to get this interview, but it's so nice to be able to get this interview done today. So Rob, I want to thank you so much for taking your time to come on the Us People podcast. How are you?
Very well, and thank you very much for the opportunity to be here tonight.
It's
I really
perfect.
appreciate that.
Me too, most definitely. Rob, my first question for you, which I completely love to ask every single guest who comes on the podcast, is just so we can know more about you as an individual and a person. So could you break down a little bit about where you were brought up and also how that influenced you to be the person who you are today?
Right, absolutely. So I'm actually South African, right, incredibly. I'm 49 years old, so I've got like years of accumulated experience of that. And so I grew up during the apartheid era, a time that I was actually oblivious to that because I grew up in boarding schools my whole life. And we were the first school which we actually accommodated people of all races. So I was living in apartheid, and I was like my best friend, he was colored.
Yeah.
What's the issue, right? So right from the beginning, I actually attended boarding school. There was a high intensity of discipline, lots of contact sports, etc., etc.
Yeah.
And in the end, what influenced me was this high level of discipline and intensity to continuously work throughout the day, do contact sports, and it was a very, very hard experience with the discipline because it's old-fashioned school discipline, right? That's what made me the person I am today. I'm very disciplined. I'm assertive. I'm passionate, and all those other things. Yeah.
I really like that. How does it make you feel knowing that you were brought up in boarding school compared to a public school, because they have a substantial difference?
Yeah, they do. I totally agree. But at that stage, at that time in my life, boarding school was was the proper thing for my parents to think for me to do,
Fair
to go
enough.
to a boarding school. So I didn't have really that much family contact as such. So I grew up alongside friends. I only went home probably once every 2 to 3 months,
Wow.
So I saw them for 2 nights, well, actually 1.5 days. So that's where I got my independence in a sort of way. And what that was the basic influence for me having become self-employed years later,
Yes.
because that's where it comes. Your beginnings made me into the person who I was going to be later on in life.
That makes total sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I left South Africa in 1995. But the year that I left was the 6 months that I actually gained some experience in textiles and apparel, working in a company.
Yes.
And what happened was I went to London. That was the first place I went. And I did the odd jobs. And it wasn't really that interesting because it was the basic working at Ticketmaster, selling tickets, right? And because of my South African accent, and because of the people I was up against, like people phoning through wanting to buy Tina Turner tickets, I got fired from the job because I could never take a Visa transaction correctly, because some folks phone from a place called Tyne and Wear in England
Yeah.
with this accent I was not really used to, and I could never get the 16 digits on the code. So the guy said, Rob, I really think, being South African and all, I think it's not the right job for you. So I went from job to job to job.
Right.
And, I got a little bit of basic experience, but the job and satisfaction level was so high that in the end, I became self-employed. So at that stage, I was what, 25 years old, and from that stage on till today, I'm a self-taught person. That's what it comes down to.
I love that.
As a result of that, I had to learn the hard lessons. And the hard lessons are you don't have a mentor to look up to. You don't
Yes.
have a big boss that says, Rob, when you do things, you got to do it this way, that way. So it's the classic situation: fail, 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 make mistakes. It's normal. And in a sense, I'm glad that actually happened. And I'll tell you why. Because anyone that claims that to fail is is a massive failure. It makes your family have to feel bad about you because you failed while other people are successful. That's not true. Everybody has to fail. And who better than someone like Richard Branson, for example, right?
Yes.
This guy's failed plenty of times. He took out Virgin Cola, right? Spent a couple of £1 million on the development of the product with Virgin Cola. It failed, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to feel bad. So the whole idea here is when you make a decision, you fail, you learn from the mistake, and when you make future failures, the whole idea is fail fast, move on,
Yes, I agree.
right?
Totally.
So the situation is the following. Following those years, accumulated years of experience and failures, etc., years later, as the MD of Kingly, has put me in a very strong position because I know what it's like to fail, right? I know what it's like to work in extreme conditions of stress because I've been there. I've been at boarding school. You know, the old-fashioned disciplinary techniques. You get beaten with a cricket bat because at 9:30 in the evening during lights out, you opened your mouth and you spoke. So you get caned on the backside. Yeah, this is going back to South Africa. This is how it was with discipline. So that sort of made me a rigorous person with a very high level of being able to accommodate stress. So for me, when I'm in an extremely stressful situation
Mhm.
with other co-workers, I can go above and beyond because I've been in very bad situations in the past. I know what it's like. And when I see a negative and when I see stress, I don't see it really as a bad thing. I see it as an opportunity to solve a problem and move on and convert the negative to the positive. It's for
See.
me every day. It's like that. It's a challenge. I don't frown. I don't lose self confidence. I just take it head on and I solve the problem, and I don't let it decay and go on another week or so or month. So I face up to the problem and give the solution. That's really important right now.
I love the fact that you broke that down the way you did because there are so
Yeah,
many people who need someone to say that to them,
yeah,
but nobody has ever necessarily said it to them. They might feel like they're walking on a path by
yeah,
themselves.
right,
So you saying
exactly,
that and breaking that down is going to help so many people, so much people, sorry, understand that no matter if you think you're failing, you're not failing, you're learning.
absolutely. I agree. Always, 100% with you on that one.
I love
Yeah,
that. My next question for you, Rob,
yeah.
is can you define yourself as a person and who do you see when you look in the mirror? But also, what does your reflection say back to you? But also, this is quite a long question. On the flip side of looking in the mirror and seeing your reflection, has there ever been a time you looked in the mirror and not recognized who you was as a person?
Yeah, there's been times when I can look myself in the mirror and then there's parts of my life that are missing, and I see a reflection of someone that's a hard worker, etc., successful and everything. But then you've got to think of all the other things in your life, family, your children, etc., quality time alone. And that's something, unfortunately, that is very, very hard to concentrate on with the amount of work that you dedicate every day. Because if I'm working up to 16 hours a day, I can get home, I can see my little kid William for what, for 1 hour. He's asleep, and I don't get to see him anymore.
Wow.
So the whole thing about it is, yeah, that sometimes I can look at myself, and I feel sometimes like a stranger to my own family. It's been 1.5 years since I've seen my parents, obviously because of COVID.
Yeah.
My other daughter's in Spain. I try my best to go every 6, 7 weeks to visit her. So I've always believed family comes first. But unfortunately, I have to admit that on this occasion, due to the circumstances of the last 2 years, it's something where I'm concentrating so much on the business and I'm not concentrating enough on family. And so I'm trying to walk away from the business
Okay.
and think enough is enough and to concentrate on what are the important things in life. It's not just a business,
Yeah.
because that's how I am. I'm so passionate in business that sometimes I forget about other stuff. Now let's put family aside for one moment and then you go on to health, right?
Yes.
I haven't been to the gym in 4 years, 5 years, right? So what do? I try and walk as many steps I can during the day, as a way to remain healthy, but that's not good enough.
Mm.
So what have I done? I've taken actions here. I've actually 2 weeks ago built a gym in the actual factory itself,
Wow.
right? So yeah, so the whole idea is because I'm a morning person, I can leave early in the morning, arrive to the factory, do gym for an hour, right? And then shower there because there's shower facilities. And when everyone else arrives, they didn't even know I did gym. They didn't even know that I was there. They'll just see me there working. And because that's how I am. So I'm sort of taking the right steps forward now to make a difference in my life. So yeah, I don't want to no longer be the stranger. Then I look in the mirror and I think there's other things in your life that are missing. They're not there. So I want to sort of flip it around, do a 180, call it as you will, 180
Yeah.
degrees flip.
That's really
Yeah.
good that you actually decided to make a change, because changing in anybody's life is hard. Making a
Oh,
change.
absolutely. It's so difficult for people to change.
Yeah.
Really. It's a little bit like the New Year's resolution.
Oh,
I want to do this, I want to do that. The moment of truth comes and it goes south. It doesn't live up to
I,
its expectations.
I personally never make New Year's resolutions. I just go with if it's in my mind and
Yeah,
I know it's the right time, just focus on it and get it done. And that's how
yeah,
I do it. Everybody else is different. Like Rob,
yeah.
you're different as well. So you say, okay, well, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make a change. I've worked my 16 hours is a long time to work in a day.
That is a lot of hours. But last year during COVID, I was working for 4 or 5 months, 18 hours a day, Saturdays and Sundays included, to keep up with the demand of the business. And that for me was horrific. It was catastrophic almost in a way. Do you know there was during the 4 months we probably had 2, 3 siestas. Siesta, you got to just say, I'm going home early and I'm going to catch up, not on days of sleep, but you're talking about months.
Yeah.
When your body cries out to you and says, stop, just give me a break for a moment. So now this year, things have changed. Things have changed in the respect that I work less hours.
Good.
We've got more people in the company.
Mhm.
And there's one lesson learned. For you to walk away from a position of a lot of authority in a business is to learn to delegate, to give workload to other people that are very, very, how do you say, well assigned for the job.
Yes, that's
So,
correct.
so what we did in our company in the last 2 weeks, we did these disc profiles, personality tests. So in our company, we have a guy called Fernando, and he's the most supportive and analytical person in the company. So when it comes to crunching numbers, my maths is absolutely shocking. So let me give it to the guy that actually knows. He's a numbers cruncher guy.
Yeah.
So when you do that and you delegate to the right people, means more time for yourself. You can reduce the amount of work hours and you can get to walk away every now and then. That's the whole idea behind it now, the whole
I,
company.
I
Yeah.
like that. Definitely. We're going to get into the company in a second, but I want to know even more about you in the sense of the company and yourself together. So, how important is diversity to you? And what value does it bring? And how do you feel that you play a part in diversity within your company also?
Yeah, well, diversity. I'm a type of person that is a multitasker. I'm able to work in any type of facet of the company. It doesn't matter if it's in production and sales. I can't work in accountancy because I'm not a numbers guy.
Yes.
So, how do I add value? And that is, I'm an empathetic person. I'm sympathetic. I'm patient. You know how they say patience is a virtue? It's a good thing and a bad thing. you know? So, because I have this accumulated passion and excitement for what I do, for what the company does, I'm the person that transmits this energy, right, into the company.
Yeah.
Um, and by transmitting this energy and being the forward thinker in the company and doing all the innovating, I transfer that excitement onto certain people in the organization. So they have that good feeling of goodwill in the sense that they can see something good is happening in the company. And, that's what it came down to in the end, that when you actually employ people into your company, it's very, very good to have people that are not just share your same personality, but have different profiles. Because when you bring them all together and you have this like crazy mix of personalities, it's what gives the enjoyment to the company. Everyone's different in their own particular way. So yeah, diversity and value is absolutely essential in our company. And I know that in a sense
Yeah.
that I'm not, although I'm the MD of the company, I have to tell you that my partner, Desi, is actually the one that is the operations director as such. She actually
Ah.
runs the business. I'm the
Wow.
one, I'm the one that's actually overseeing it because my diversity is so broad and I'm coming up with hundreds of ideas every day that sometimes my degree of acceleration is so fast with innovating for products that she said, slow down just for a moment. I can't keep up. So that's how diverse a person I am. But at the end of the day, what is the value in the company is not just what I bring to the company with innovation and driving the company forward, but it's what Desi does, converting that into value because she's got to make it happen, and making it happen is where the value is because I could tell you 100 different ideas I brought up today.
I can
we could
imagine.
spend we could spend hours. Anyway, so the whole idea is I'm internally every day I'm like a brainstormer. I'm writing through our great ideas, and of the 100 ideas I have, I convert one to reality. But it is
Okay.
very, very good to be a dreamer.
Yes.
It's very, very good.
I agree with you there because I'm one, so I
Yeah,
definitely understand you.
absolutely. And talking about dreams, this is something quite interesting. Last year, everything, every single decision that what I actually did was based on dreams, and all those dreams became a reality. Incredibly, from having delegated correctly and working with passionate and talented people.
Yes. I love
So
that.
I did things that I took the company and I flipped it 180 degrees. We just started creating new products designed to sell in the crisis, designing the product and the whole concept in the morning, transmitting the information to our graphic designer, and that evening our graphic designer had already created the prototype, the render, and the next morning we launched it into the market. That's how quick we were. My
Whoa.
mind gave me an idea. Great. It's in the morning. This evening I've got the design. I do the prices in the evening. The next morning, newsletter, it's out. So our degree of response, our response rate from creating something to bringing it to market was 24 hours.
That's amazing.
And you compare that to some companies, the larger the company, obviously what happens is the idea has to pass through many departments.
That's correct. Yeah.
And that slows down the launch date. And sometimes what overcomes people is the word fear. Because if someone has to sign a signature and say, yeah, I'm going for it, I'm going to sign over here, I'm the responsible person for having launched this product, and it backfires, oh, that could be my job.
Yes.
So what I'm saying is I have an extreme high degree of risk. Now, when I say risk, it's like I am defined as a person that I could throw myself into the deep end and learn how to start swimming in that moment. Right? So that's the type of person I throw myself into a situation and I make it happen. Sometimes it's a bad thing, but sometimes it's good to be proactive and move forward with a lot of enthusiasm.
Out of curiosity, Rob,
Yeah.
how would you describe it being a bad thing?
It's a bad thing because if you move into something too quickly and you base a decision on your gut feeling, it can go south. It can go terribly wrong.
Okay.
So I can give you an example. You know, when someone is so passionate about an idea that he's
Yeah.
created in his mind, he should get a response back from other people. Approach them and say, "What do you think of this idea?" Uh, be constructive. Give me some constructive criticism. So in situations, I went with my gut. I was much younger. I went with my gut. I thought it was a fantastic product. And in the end, after spending 4, 5, 6 years, still convinced the product was great, that is when I decided this is a niche product market. It's a product that you can't sell to everybody. And as a result of that, the sales were never developed. So that was a typical mistake. And now, what can you learn from that typical mistake is that years later, we now supply a broad reach of products. So a product like a knitted sock, a pair
Yes.
of socks,
Yeah.
is not only a good promotional product, but it's an essential product. Everyone needs to wear socks.
That's true.
So that's a lesson well learned. To not get involved with a product you can only sell to a minority. That is a typical mistake of me, having dived into the deep end with my gut feeling. And the disadvantage prior I was talking about was the problem with you when you go with your gut, you throw yourself in the deep end, you want to learn, and you don't have enough accumulated experience.
Yes.
And prior to that, I mentioned patience is a virtue. It is. But when you're going 1 year, 2 years to 4 years, you throw in the towel, you move on. So the whole idea is if you see something's not working and it's not working for 6 months to a year, something is wrong.
Yeah.
So ask for advice, reach out to people. If you don't ask, thou shall never receive.
That's
That's
true.
what I believe in. I always ask for advice.
That is
Always.
true.
That's really important. Yeah.
Talk to me more. Okay, let's get more into your company. I know you said a few things, but I know there is such a big depth into what you do. So the one question I definitely want to ask you, Rob, is you've spoken about you going to the gym, but that was for more health and fitness and nobody
Yeah.
realizing you've gone to the gym.
Yeah.
But the one thing I do want to understand, even for myself and the listeners, I'm sure, is could you break down a day in your life where when you wake up in the morning to you having your ideas, because I can imagine they could be buzzing around in your mind even through nighttime, to when you wake up in the morning, to when you go to the gym, to when you start
Yeah.
your day. And how does that process work for when you're working with your team and what you do with your team till the end of the day? Because you do have a long day.
Yeah. Oh, it's just so long. What happens is that the day starts. I wake up super early. We've got to take William to the kindergarten, etc., etc. So the whole idea is to accumulate and concentrate on catching up with all the emails and stuff before you get the first phone call at 9:30 in the morning. Then we'll go to the factory. We have our first Dolce Gusto coffee, which, by the way, Dolce Gusto is very, very bad because it's not very eco-sustainable. You have 2 minutes of luxury by having a Dolce Gusto coffee, right? And you're throwing away the actual capsule itself that takes 200 to 300 years to break down in the environment.
Whoa.
So, so I just thought of that now. So that's something that I'm going to start banning those capsules. Now, Nestle, if you're listening to this, my apologies, but it's based on true fact.
True.
Yeah. Anyway, so we get to the factory, and that is when we have a group meeting at 10 o'clock in the morning. We talk about any issues that we might have during the day. Um, and then from that moment on, it's 10, 15 minutes. Everyone goes about their duties, and I move into my office. And that is in the moment I concentrate to have my first cup of coffee and respond to an email. Along comes somebody knocking on the door, asking for some advice. Interruptions. 1 hour later, it's all multitasking. I've got an issue here, a problem there to resolve. So it's just the whole day is based on solutioning problems from day to day. And by the end of the afternoon, we've got a solution.
Right.
Why do I talk about always about problems? Because in our industry, we work in the promotional merchandise market,
Hmm.
and everybody needs their products, not for tomorrow, for yesterday.
Yes.
They are desperate. So You're working flat out, you work extra shifts, a supplier lets you down because he doesn't deliver to you on time, etc., etc. And that over there is the typical day that we experience day to day. But because we are becoming better at what we do, we have better controls, etc., etc., and a higher level of discipline.
Yeah.
So we're finding there's less issues about about stress and all these problems that we have about having problems. So that's the whole idea. What I've developed in the company now from day to day, systems control. Everything that we do, when you switch a machine on to cleaning the socks knitting room or whatever it is based on a system.
Right.
If you stick to the system will not fail you. If you do not stick to the system, it will fail. Time and time again, it's proven. So you need to have a high level of discipline.
Okay.
And that basically, in a nutshell, is the day. There's the good thing that we have during each and every day. Every day is a different day. The reason I tell you is because the one day we could be knitting socks for Coca-Cola and Schweppes.
Yeah.
1 week later, we have a project for Sony or Samsung. So everything, there's a lot of diversity. Things change. The whole time things are changing. New products come in, new ideas, etc., etc. So it's really quite gratifying in a way because it's not like a boring job where you go in and you're doing the same. Like imagine someone working in a call center. You know,
Oh,
that's pretty stressful. But ours is pretty good because every day is different. Every day is unique. That's what makes it exciting.
yeah.
That's what I like about it. Yeah.
That's what I really like. Could you break down some of the products that you actually have within the company? Because when I was researching, there was compact T-shirts, there was towels, socks,
Yeah.
creative garment packings, and I want to know so much. I'm passionate about knowing so
Yeah.
much about this stuff. Which
Yeah.
could you talk to me about the different garments you have and how you deal with? I know every client that comes to you will have a different requirement for what they want and how they want it to be done. But could you talk about some of the garments and what you do?
Absolutely. In our company, we have it's full custom.
Yes.
So by full custom means we create something from nothing. So what happens is our number one product are the knitted socks.
Yeah.
We have machines, we knit socks according to a customer's requirements, according to their design. And that's the top product that we're actually doing. Why is it the best? Because like I said earlier, it's a great promo product and it's a great essential item. People use it every day. Um, and what we built into socks is eco-sustainability. So we're the first company worldwide to have introduced some certain packaging techniques and upcycled cotton yarns, etc., into the market. For example, 2 years ago, we launched compostable bags as standard for all our packaging. And
Yes.
the compostable bag is used for all our other products. And we do organic cotton socks, etc., etc. We then move on to the compact T-shirt, which basically, if you can imagine for one moment, a T-shirt that is printed with a logo. Once it's printed, it's then introduced into a mold.
Yeah.
It's like of a particular shape, and then using hydraulic pressure, it converts the T-shirt into a compact shape that fits in the palm of your hand. So, for example, let's just consider a tin of Coca-Cola. So we take a T-shirt, we compress it. Once it comes out of the machine, it's the same size as a tin of Coca-Cola. And what we do, we apply on either side the full color photo of the Coca-Cola tin on the front and back. We shrink wrap it, and in the end, you can trick the customer into believing it's the real thing.
That's
So
cool.
that's the compact T-shirt. Yeah. So it's pretty good, and we do that for towels as well. We can compact and compress socks, for example. We can compress tea towels, aprons, always when it's got a cotton composition. That's
I
an
think
example.
I think
Yeah,
I'm gonna get some Us People podcast socks and T-shirts done by you guys.
you
Cause
have
I've
to. I would be quite happy to sponsor you some knitted socks. Not a problem.
serious.
Absolutely, yeah.
I
Why
would
not?
love that. Oh my
We've been
gosh.
we're a very generous company. I'll just give you an example. Last year in COVID, 30 to 40% of all our hygiene products and socks and stuff, we were donating to the NHS, to the homeless. people in need.
Yeah.
And it's something we did because we had all this excess product, and we said if we're not selling it, let's just give it to people in need. So we targeted the Bulgarian hospitals,
Yeah.
the NHS, homeless shelters in the UK, and we continue to do that today. So we always like to reward people with incentives because we are not what is a money making machine. Our
Yes.
vision, our passion, it's not just the money. It is eco sustainability. It's charities. We work with any type of charity. We don't have anything specific. If someone reaches out to us, a charity, I always say yes. I'll never say, oh, I'll take it under advisement. Maybe I'll do something in the future. So we always like to do that stuff.
You've made me
That's not a
extremely
problem.
happy, Rob.
Yeah, not a problem. So when you're ready, send me your vector logo. You know what a
Okay.
vector logo is,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I've got one. Yeah, it's right behind me.
Brilliant.
It's on
Brilliant.
the computer and I have it
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
on Illustrator. And yeah, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
No, cool.
Anyway,
I'm
yeah,
excited
and
now.
then yeah, onto other products. We have in general uh, apparel. So when we say
Yes.
apparel, sweatshirts, hoodies, sublimation printing, terry towels, bathrobes, anything and everything that somebody can wear, baseball caps, anything. So
Wow.
yeah, as an accessories in reality. Now I don't know why it is, but every time I keep forgetting that in our factory
Hmm.
we have a brand new, fully compliant cosmetics manufacturing company.
Oh,
And why do I always forget to talk about it? Is because it's inactive. We've been focusing so much on what are socks knitting, and because we've got a new engineer from Pakistan and new socks knitting machines and training, and there's so much going on that side that only yesterday did I call my lab technician, Rally, and I said, let's sit down, let's start making some cosmetics here. We got all the machines, we got the permission, we got the GMP, ISO 9001 quality management system and everything. So why are all these machines idle? So in the next 4 weeks, we're going to launch what is a complete range of really good cosmetic products that work, the
see,
proper type of thing. Yeah.
I like that.
So,
See, I'm glad that you said that on here because
yeah.
now it's out in the open and everyone can know about it. I love that.
Yeah.
I definitely
Anyway,
love
so
that.
yeah, so it's amazing. I just keep every day I go into that factory, I keep forgetting that we have a cosmetics manufacturing plant. It's like unbelievable because I turn left, right, and I go straight into my office. I hear the sock knitting machines, and the cosmetics factory is like around the corner there, and I keep forgetting. Anyway, so I keep having to remind myself. But anyway, and this
It's
yeah.
because you have so much going on. I think that's why.
Yeah, absolutely. And our lab technician, after yesterday, she said, "Look, I can make you whatever you want. I can make strawberry milkshake body lotion. I can
Whoa.
make, yeah." We even decided today that we're going to start manufacturing a product. Now, you're probably going to think this is very funny, but I'm being very serious. We're going to be manufacturing a product which is called Fresh Balls for men. Yeah, yeah. Well, that product actually exists. I mean, everything exists in the marketplace, right?
Yeah,
But
that's
they're going
true.
to be yeah. And one of my workers, right, he uses the product, says it's absolutely marvelous. It's fantastic. He's fresh all the way through the day, and he thinks it's just brilliant. And he said to me yesterday, and his girlfriend, shocked at the time, said, "That's amazing," because he actually said to me the other day, "Smell." He said to the girlfriend, "Smell my balls." You're kidding me. He smelled, oh, it's so fresh. Anyway, so what I'm saying to you is we're going to start manufacturing cosmetic products that genuinely work. Organic, natural, no parabens, and when you see something on the label, it's going to be 100% legitimate. So for example, when you go and buy a body shampoo and it says
Yes.
invigorating, caffeinated with taurine, right?
Right.
And you get in the shower and said, I didn't feel any taurine and energy and stuff. Did you? No. So what we're going to do, our version, really got the sampling and everything done. It's quite interesting. Is you go for a let's say you're at gym, right? And you've been sweating the whole day, and you want to cool down, but you can't. So you go into the shower, you use our mental energizing cooling effect shower gel, and you genuinely, when you get out of the shower, your body is feeling cool and refreshed. And how does that actually work? Because we take what is an ingredient found in after sun burn gel, put it into the body gel, the shower gel, so it actually gives you that invigorating, cooling, refreshing feel, right? That's what it's all about. Products that really work. But unfortunately, in this day and age, you take this multi-international, famous trademark brands, and people are fascinated. Oh, it's this brand, it's that brand, it's got to work. And then they look at our brand and say, oh, we don't know Kingly, but let me tell you, they will. This is the whole thing. They will find out, and pretty soon.
I
That's
love
all.
your confidence about
Yeah. Oh,
it's your
absolutely.
confidence, Rob, and your passion for what you do that really intrigues me
Yeah.
for the reason why you do what you do and you're so good at it.
Yeah.
It
Appreciate your kind words. That's really nice of you. Desi, my partner, says the same thing about me. She said, your degree of passion is just through the roof.
yeah,
And she sent me a post the other day and she said, well, it's a good thing and a bad thing, but in the end, it's what drives the company forward. It's the best.
exactly.
Do you know what she always says about me? It's actually true. You still think you're 16 years old.
There's nothing wrong with that at all.
Absolutely not. I love it, actually. Do you know? I'll tell you a quick story. It's very funny. A friend of mine, Colin, and I, we in Milan 2 years ago. Desi and I invited him for a nice dinner, and it was 10 o'clock in the evening. And Colin said, "Thanks so much for the invitation. It's too early. Let me, please, just buy you one drink." And I knew then, in that moment, that this was not going to be one drink. So I said, fine. Got into a taxi, said to the taxi driver, take us to the most exclusive discotheque in Milan. We went there. We were there till what, 3:34 in the morning. And the whole idea of being the 16-year-old was just non-existent that night because as we went into the bathroom, Colin and I, he approached these two women in the corner, and the two women said, please don't even come close to us. You could be our fathers.
Wow.
And in that moment, I realized I was no longer 16 and I never wanted to go to a discotheque in my life. Anyway, yeah.
Oh dear.
I don't know. It's this thing about age, right? Okay. I am not overly concerned. Genuinely feel like I'm 16.
I think it's because you're living your best life.
Yes, of course. Absolutely.
There's a
I have to
difference
agree with
when
that.
you're there's a difference between when you're living your best life and when you're just working to survive. There's a big difference. When you do what you love, it doesn't feel like you're working a day in your life.
Yeah, absolutely. It comes with a bit of a disadvantage,
Yeah.
and that is everything now is coming down to time management.
Yes.
How to accelerate and do things very, very quickly, because it's okay when you're very young to spend months and stuff. You can be delaying projects, whatever it is, dreams, ideals, and everything, and say, "Oh, I'm going to take a sabbatical. I'm taking a year off to go around the world." Right? Right now, there's no time for that. You say, I've got this business to grow. I don't want to do it the way I used to. I want to accelerate as fast as possible. And incredibly, last year, for example, was a year that we accumulated and did probably one decade's work in 1 year. That is how fast we accelerated. It's incredible. Without
Whoa.
any exaggeration. We took our company and we took it and we turned the company inside out and we increased during a pandemic our sales by 130%.
Whoa.
So as an example, and during that time we built up and we did audits, accreditations of our company, quality management systems, etc., etc. So the whole point is when there's a crisis, you don't have a lot of work, you analyze what the problem is and you say you've got to fine tune your company in a way that it can accommodate itself the best way possible to what people need in a crisis. So what we did there was, that's where the whole cosmetics and sanitizer gel came from. We ended up actually producing one of Europe's best sanitizer gel. Landed up in the NHS. It's gone to retail, etc., etc. And so that's a spin-off from what was textiles. So that's why we have this cosmetics factory today. And the whole point is, when you do something, if you do something correctly with all the accreditation, the permissions from the European Union, all the MSDS, all these like fancy documents, call it as you will, if you go in strong with all the qualifications and the talent, then you can do great things.
I like
So
that.
that's what I learned. Yeah.
I like that. How do you feel the next generation of people coming in? Because you're working most probably with the next generation of talented people. How do you feel that they are going to change the industry, especially the industry that you're in, so that it evolves to be better?
I see this next generation coming in. I am not optimistic, I have to say, because some people, when they leave university or they've got a degree, they just think that there's going to be an open platter there and they open the door, come join us, this, that, that. It's not just having the degree, it's having the passion, the optimism, and everything goes with it, and being excellent at what you do. Um, and I see this generation coming in as a lazy generation, and I'll tell you why. Because they grew up a lot on in their house with internet and YouTube and this, that, and the other. And my generation, we were outside till 6, 7 o'clock in the evening, riding BMX bicycles, roughing ourselves up, etc., etc. And what happens is when you are in an electronic world, surrounded by YouTube and electronic devices, you start to become what is a passive person,
Yes, that's true.
right? And being passive is being inactive. So that's a generalization. Of course, there are people out there that are different, but I've known young people that they have a different personality. They understand that it's good to be old school, to go above and beyond, put in extra effort. So yeah, that I'll take back what I said. It's a very broad spectrum, right, of people. But that's how I actually think of the next generation coming in. And I think they have to be more passionate and they have to understand that when you leave a university, it's not just a matter of getting the job. You got to show why you're the one that deserves the job. And for someone
That's
that
true.
deserves a job, you've got to have the attributes of someone who's self-reliant, passionate, hardworking, and determined. And to
I
never
like
give
that.
up. Because during COVID, I mean, it's extraordinary to know that some people were breaking down mentally and psychologically because they've been at home for a month, right? Now, I've got to argue the fact and say that is just outrageous. How can it be that someone's at home? You know, you can convert one of your rooms to, and you can have an exercise mat at home. You can watch a movie during the evening, relax, have a beer, chill out, whatever. But don't understand how people consider 1 month or 2 months at home without being able to see their friends as a major obstacle, because I don't see that as an obstacle. I really don't. You know,
That's true.
that's how I feel. Yeah.
No, I understand it because I started the podcast actually in 2020.
All right.
And
Yeah.
I think to me, it was the best thing, one of the best things I've ever done to be able to help people understand that no
Yeah.
matter what's going on in the world, you can still do something positive to help other
Yeah.
people. And
Absolutely.
I think that's amazing.
Yeah. But for me, just to answer that last question, right? For me, we have someone in our company that is an extraordinary person. He's the youngest in the company. His name's Lubo. And we have him in the company because not for his experience or for anything else, but the way he is. He brings happiness to the company. It's his personality. He's the only one in the company who's the one that will actually get the car. I'll go and clean the car. I'm going to go and pick up some cotton yarn or some t-shirts or whatever it is. He's the guy that you can rely on. And when I say something to him, it's in fact very funny. I just say, do it and do it now. He laughs, gets in the car, and he gets the job done. And we have that guy in the company because he is the happiest person in the company. And I feed off his energy. right?
I like it.
You understand how it is? So
Yeah.
we don't have in our company people that have to have 25 years of accumulated experience because experience can be taught, but personality cannot. Your personality is your personality. So that's what I like as well. I like the guy so much. Seriously,
Oh.
every time in the morning, it's just fantastic to see him. It's like superb, you know? I love that.
See,
Yeah.
I like the energy. That's definitely something I
Yeah.
embrace as well as the energy.
Yeah.
I know you spoke earlier on about you having to literally grow up, not necessarily with a mentor and going through and making your mistakes and learning your learning
Right.
curves. What about, has there ever been a point in your life where somebody, because we have different moments in our life where we're constantly changing,
Right.
but has there ever been a moment in your life, Rob, where somebody has given you exceptional advice that you have carried with you throughout your life?
Yeah, it came quite recently, actually, going back 3 years. I have a business coach. His name's Chris, right? And he's the type of guy that doesn't give you the advice.
Okay.
He just listens and he argues a point and stuff. Are you sure that's something you would do? He never tells you what to do. And one day when I first met him, he's the one that actually put my mind straight. He said, in life, in a business, for example, even in your personal life, everything is a system. Stick to the system, and the system won't fail. Now, this was 3 years ago. And when I came back, I sort of changed the whole philosophy, the way things work in the company, to an extent that everyone thought I was a bit like mad in the head about systems. What hell is he talking on about? Going on about? So that happened very late on in my life. It happened 3 years ago, right? But that sort of reinforced everything. So he's had probably the most influence for me in my whole life. I can't really think of anybody. I mean, my father, my parents, of course, because they're my parents, right, giving me advice. But sometimes you got to realize that the people closest to you are the ones that can potentially uh, take back your dreams and say, that's not a good idea.
That's
Don't do
true.
that. Don't do this. I don't think you should do that. What if? Right? And with him, because he's a neutral type of guy, it's just the introduction to his mindset made me realize that I was too sympathetic, too empathetic, too patient, right? And too laid back,
You
right?
sound like me.
Yeah. So basically, what that day that happened was just extraordinary. It was like a revelation, and boom, I was in the end game. Accelerating every day. It's better when you have a target to say, why am I going to set a target for a week when I can be today? Because
Yeah,
people in their minds set limitations. If you set limitations, then you can only give so much of yourself.
that's true.
So I don't have limitations anymore. I break through barriers. I think of it as a challenge. That's how it is, really. So it's
Rob,
strange, you know? Yeah.
when was the last time you felt at peace with yourself? Because that's something I want to ask you because your days are so hectic and you also have your family. You have ideas running through your mind constantly. When was the last time you actually felt at peace with yourself and your surroundings?
Right. I'd say 4 Fridays ago, because in our company, we have parties that we pay for any of our employees. So if it's their birthday on a Monday or a Wednesday, we'll coincide the birthday party for a Friday. So at 7 o'clock when it starts, I no longer have my mobile phone. I feel at peace. I can finally have some Bulgarian rakia, which I don't know if you've ever had. It is so strong because, I'm being from South Africa, I drink beer, right? And this
Right.
stuff's like 50% proof. Anyway, so that's the time when I can relax. There's no more phone calls. I feel at peace. I really do.
I
No?
need to try.
Yeah.
I need to try that. So save me some, okay?
Absolutely. You should fly over here sometime. I'll pick you up from
Okay.
the airport and sort you out with a nice bottle of rakia any day.
Wow. I don't know if I'll be standing afterwards, but I'm all good for it.
Oh, now I actually have in the past, right? I don't drink a lot. I am
Yeah.
social. I have one beer a night or whatever. But I happened to be in a sticky situation a year ago during COVID where I had about 600 to 700 mils of rakia and I was gone, right? And even after consuming that amount of rakia, my Desi recorded me, and I was still talking about passion, going above and beyond the Call of Duty, this, that, and the other. I still have that video, right? Now, I would never put that video on YouTube, but it's extraordinary that after you get so wasted, one can still be talking about passion, glory, going above and beyond, and all that stuff. Anyway, extraordinary, really. Yeah,
Does music play a part within your company? Do you play music while you are working? That's a question.
absolutely. So in production, we have Lubo, for example, took this subwoofer Philips and he puts it there inside of the factory and he's got it playing. But some people have phones now. They've got like earphones and stuff, so it's pretty good. For me to get creative and to get that innovation feeling in my brain all over again to generate an idea, I get extremely motivated by listening to music. It really does make a bit of a difference. Yeah, definitely.
I love that. If there was one song that gets you really buzzing and really ready to create, what song would you choose?
Oh my goodness. There are
Wow.
it's like such a difficult question right now. There are so many songs. What can I say? Which is the one I like the most? Nick Kershaw, The Grass is
Yes.
Greener on the Other Side.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, for example. But then if I gave you that one right now, I've got like another 30 I can give you right now, and I've just like got into like a mental block and I'm thinking, which was the other one? Ah, The Proclaimers. Do you know that song from The
Oh, you,
Proclaimers? I love
which
that
one?
song. Well, you know what I call it? The only song. Well,
The only.
the song that really made them famous.
Oh, okay. I get
Yeah, you
you.
know which one I'm talking about. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So
What
yeah.
does success mean to you? And how do you use the way you have succeeded within your life? I think I know what you're going to say, but just for the listeners to understand, what does success mean to you, Rob?
Okay. Success. The first thing I've got to say is what people would think is money, right? Now, that's number one, which means the following: money to be able to have the company running fluidly without any issues, and money to be able to incentivize employees, grow the company, and the more we grow the company, the more salaries we can pay, etc., right? And then when we go on to other things, attributes is the pursuit of personal happiness, right? Okay, that's really important. So by having enough money in a company and you have it's a successful company, etc., and you've got people that are talented in the company, to be able to concentrate on the good things in life and say, right, I want to be able to spend more time with my family, to go on trips and to enjoy life to the full. Because right now, this it's like we're in a battle. Everything is just work, 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 work. And where's the quality time? This is not just work. So for me, it's the pursuit of personal happiness. And how does that come about? By having stability in the company, having the money that can be designated and given to all the people in the company to be able to pay bills and to enjoy life where you don't have to, you know, because I'm my own boss, right? Then I have more stability and I don't have to answer to anyone. So that's what I really want in life, family. Family is really important. To be able to get my daughter Chloe at some stage and William and everyone together and to be able to live under one roof because it's quite stressful. When I've got my 4-year-old here, then I've got my 12-year-old Chloe in Spain,
Oh,
and it's like, and I keep thinking back and back. It's their childhood. They're growing up. They don't see each other, so it's more stress because I've got to fly more to Spain, come back. So that's the whole thing. It's the pursuit of happiness. That's basically what it is. Family, family, friends, of course, are important too. But that's what it is.
yeah. I
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
If there was something that you could tell anybody right now, so I'm saying anybody who's listening at the moment, Rob, if you could give them any advice about going for what they really are passionate about, like you have, what advice would you give them?
Don't let anyone ever tell you that you're a failure. Is one. Never. If you want to go for something your gut tells you, you go for it. It doesn't matter if it's your parents or anyone telling you that you can't do it. Go with what is right, that
Yeah.
what your gut feeling tells you. And another bit of advice, if you fail, which is normal, you learn. It makes you stronger as a person. It doesn't mean to fail means you have to give up. It means you got to be more perseverant. You got to persevere more. Drive forward. Never give up. Because anyone in this world that is successful will tell you the same thing.
That's true.
You're going to fail, fail, fail. It's going to make you stronger. And by failing, it's going to prevent you in the future from making mistakes you made in the past. Don't repeat the mistakes. If something doesn't work, be patient. Patience is a virtue, but don't let
Yes.
it extend to, like it did for me, of 1, 2, 3, 4 years. If something doesn't work, it's okay. You can throw in the towel. It doesn't mean you failed. It meant you learned a lesson. Okay?
See,
And from there, it makes you a stronger person. It'll give you more vision, more direction, and the willingness to succeed. And there you will find it.
I
I
love
actually
that.
have that in the office, in our cafeteria. We have a sign that I put up. And it's an iceberg. And right at the top of the iceberg, you've got success, right? Now, under the iceberg, you've got all these horrible things. It's like self-sacrifice, failure, right? Perseverance, struggle, right? Desire, right? And all these things are like obstacles. But in with the obstacles combined, you've also got positives, right? So when you think of a negative, just think it's a challenge. Because if life was so easy, right, then there wouldn't be enough pie for everyone. So
That's
the
true.
whole thing is someone that becomes successful punched through the barrier. He punched through the resistance. He had the passion. He had the vision. He had the glory. He never gave up. And you have to have that to be able to become successful. You have to.
See,
Yeah.
see, I definitely like that one.
Thanks.
You even made me think for a second. You even actually made me stop and think. You know what? That is true.
Yeah.
Behind me, I don't know if you can see it, Rob. I have a red sign behind me, and it's
Which step
similar to
have you
yours.
reached today? Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
exactly. Yeah. So that's my one I have
Yeah, that's
that
brilliant.
I look at every day, and then I've
Yeah,
got the rest that are across as well. So that's something that I go by that really helps me, and I'm sure that it will
yeah.
help other people too. Rob, what would you like your legacy to be? And the reason why I ask this question to everybody is, what would you like your legacy to be when you decide, and only, Rob, when you decide that you have had enough and you just want to maybe have family time, or you say, like you say, you're going to delegate other things to other people so that they can take control?
Yeah.
How
So,
would you like people to remember you?
right, I want to be known as a company that, if I left the company at any stage, that it's a company that was there during the good times and the bad times to help people, charity, um, becoming more eco-friendly, teaching people about eco-sustainability and the importance of how the planet is so important, etc., etc. At the same time, I want to be known as a person that made a difference. So how can I make a difference? Lubo and I, for example, in about 8 weeks' time, we're going to be flying to the UK and we're going to meet up with a homeless shelter, a guy that runs it, and we're going to be giving away socks and hygiene box packs and everything. So this is what I want to do. If we can generate more and more sales, it means more and more revenue. And then part of that revenue, we're just going to pass onto charities to try and make a bit of a difference. If it means we can help people suffering from cancer or people in homeless shelters or poor kids in Africa, and sponsoring lions, etc., etc. So we'll do it. I want to be known as a person that was generous, that made a bit of a difference in the world.
I think you've already done that.
Yeah, well, I hope so. I'll do my
I def-
best. Yeah,
I think you've already. And my final question for you, Rob, is I've had the pleasure today to interview you, and I know we've been waiting so long to do this interview,
yeah.
and I've literally and humbly have enjoyed every single moment of it.
Well, me
Where
too.
can where can other people find you on all your social media platforms if they would like to contact you?
So if you on Instagram or if you're on Facebook, all you've got to do is type out Kingly,
Yes.
right? Kingly, and you'll see a lion's head pop up, right?
Yeah.
And when you see a lion's head Kingly, then you know. Same thing on internet. Just type out Kingly socks
Yes.
or Kingly, and you'll see. If you see the lion's head, that's us. One thing, I'll finish off this podcast by saying, what does the Kingly logo mean? It's got the lion's head, right? It has two
Right.
meanings. Kingly, if you look it up in the dictionary, means regal. It's like royalty, etc., etc. But
Yes.
the lion's head has more representation. The lion is at the top of the food chain, so that's where I want the company to be. That's the vision behind the actual logo design, etc. Yeah,
It makes more sense to me now.
yeah,
Now that you've said that, it definitely, now when I think of it, and because I know the logo and
yeah,
because I've done so much research on you,
yeah,
Rob,
yeah,
I understand the whole concept of why you do things and why everything has a strategic
yeah,
direction of the
yeah.
way it is.
Exactly,
Definitely.
absolutely. No, we could talk the whole night.
No, I love it.
Yeah,
I really don't
yeah.
mind.
There's one thing I want to say about lessons learned. Never ever set yourself limitations, because some people. I'll give you an example. Some guy he lives in England, for example, right? And he has a great product, and because he thinks he's in England, he can never sell his product, his idea worldwide, right? He sets himself a limitation, saying, "I'm in England. I'm a small guy. I can only reach so many people." Be broad, target the whole world. Because right now we're selling to the US, Australia, New Zealand. We even selling our product to China. Now our product is more expensive than China, right? But we're exporting to China. What does that tell you? That even the Chinese like our product, and there's a reason for
Exactly.
it. It's something there that's a combination of eco-friendly product, great value for money, and being in social media, people are seeing that our brand is starting to become something important, which is a good thing. So it's humble days, but because we didn't set limitations, we are going to be aggressively all over the place in a very short period of time.
And I love to see that and be a part
Yeah,
of that.
of
I
course.
love to.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Rob, I want to thank you so much for coming on the Yes People podcast. It's been a long time coming, and it was definitely worth it having you on the show to give all the advice, your wisdom, and your passion about what you do. And I'm absolutely humbled. Thank you so much.
Well, I thank you for the opportunity. It was such an experience, really. It's my first podcast. You know, I'm a
Ah,
Zoom guy. I hook up with customers on Zoom, and it's definitely a
okay.
different experience right now. Yeah,
Yeah, no, it's cool. I hope it's a good one,
yeah,
considering.
yeah. It was definitely. No, I really enjoyed this, and it was an
Perfect.
experience for me. Yeah, this is some. I learn something new every day, right? This
That's
is,
true.
and you can never stop learning. It's a
That is
fantastic
definitely
thing. Yeah,
true. That is definitely true. Rob, thank
yeah,
you again, guys.
yeah.
Thank you so much for listening to the Yes People podcast. And please remember you can subscribe and leave us a review on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, and any other platform that you prefer listening to. Please also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And you can also donate to the Yes People podcast by simply going to the Savia Rocks website or just typing in paypal.me/us people podcast. Guys, thank you so much for listening. Stay happy, stay positive, and as always, please continue to be kind to one another.
Thanks for the opportunity. Because I really learned a lot. Because when I'm next to a podcast, I'm going to be better prepared mentally